Namaste. Welcome to the Ilonggayogi podcast. My name is Kate. I'm from Iloilo City. I'm a certified yoga instructor and certified in mental health support. I share content on yoga, mindfulness, fitness, mental health, self-care, and healing. Before we get into it, I want to let you know that I teach classes at Molo Mansion. So if you're interested in taking a class with me, just head over to Healing Iloilo's Facebook page to book a class. So hello, it's been an exciting week for me because I guess like some things have happened, some things are coming to fruition. Wow, fruition. And then and some things have some new exciting things happened over this past week as well. So first of all, I've been meaning to look for more work opportunities because I feel like I've already like settled into my full-time job, and I guess I'm looking for more in a way. And I it's also coming from like a place of just thinking about the future. I guess it's you get to a point in your adulthood when you start to think of how can I sustain this livelihood, how can I sustain a family in the future, so all these things. And so now that I've been able to settle into my work, I feel like I'm ready to take on more or to take on something new without it like harming what I'm currently doing, because as you all know, my full-time work is important to me, my classes are important to me, all these things are very important to me, and I never commit to anything unless I have my heart in it, and unless like I see myself in it for the long haul. So I feel like I'm at a point where I am kind of ready. I feel like I'm ready, and I'm very happy that through like my students, I was able to come across a new opportunity, something that is very different, but also something that I feel excited about. Like I'm excited for the challenge. I'm excited to see what's in store for me. I'm excited what I can learn from it too. And I can't say much yet because I don't want to divulge too much information when nothing is like set yet, because it's just like the beginning, so I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm just like excited for it and very thankful too that things like this, it really shows how some things, they just find you. And I feel like a lot of the things that I do in my life right now that have stuck with me and have stayed with me have just found me. Like I didn't have to do much, to get it. Not in like a spoiled way, but like for example, when it comes to my yoga, my classes, like yoga kind of fell into my lap at a time when I really, really need it. And it was just so effortless. It was just so easy to find it because it was like near my house. It came at a time when I was really struggling, and it just felt like a breath of fresh air every time I went to class. And then and then from there, finding a teacher training was just so convenient for me. It was just so easy. It just came to me because I was already working at that studio. So, it just all made sense. It just fell into place on its own. When it comes to my other full-time job, because I do a lot of mental health and wellness support type of work, that also kind of fell into my lap. It was because of a friend who reached out, who felt like I would be a good fit for the job, and that's why I'm here now, So these things, they typically just find me, and that is the same for this brand new opportunity. It kind of also found me instead of like the other way around of me going insane trying to look for another job, another opportunity. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. And things at home. I think like in my last podcast episode, things at home were kind of all over the place. We were dealing with a new helper and also transitioning to saying goodbye to our old helper, our past helper. So it was quite a transition, but I have to say, like I've always mentioned, it's been a blessing in disguise because I feel like this is what we really needed at home. We needed someone who could make it a lot easier for us, and it definitely has been much easier for us. Like we can definitely work in peace, we can do our things without like worrying about home. It's so different. And if you've ever had to manage a household and struggle with a helper, I know you know what it's like. And that's like coming from someone who doesn't even have kids yet. I just have like so many dogs, 6 dogs. So I know what I have experienced is nothing compared to everyone else, but it helps. It's been really good. So because like for the past several weeks I felt very chill in terms of just like work and everything. It's been like the first few months of the year were insanely hectic. They were like, it was really like a tornado and it was intense, and then came the past couple of months and things have finally like settled. And that's why I had so much time on my hands. And like, I started looking for new opportunities. I guess I just got bored or something, but really, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I told myself this is like the perfect time to be preoccupied with housework. So we did a lot of that at home. We have been decluttering little by little because the home where we live in is my in-laws, and nobody has like lived in that house for a while, for years. So it's definitely, it has like collected a lot of things throughout the years. Of course, it's been around since my husband was very young. So there's a lot of work to be done, but it's exciting work because it's nice to see how like you're starting from the one point and slowly, you kind of work your way through the house little by little. We're making changes, we're fixing things, and I'm enjoying the whole process. It took me a while to accept that, but now I'm definitely enjoying the process of fixing slowly, DIYing certain things, going through old stuff. Like organizing everything. So it's nice, it's fun, and I am always so thankful for having at least like a home to go to have, because it's been great. It's really good. And so that's what I've been very preoccupied with, because like we had the garden done, and so now like I can breathe and relax because the dogs they don't get as dirty as they used to, and the garden is just like so much nicer. I feel more at peace now. I can finally like hang out outside in the garden. It's been raining, so finally like we have rain. It's not like super hot and dry outside anymore. Also been enjoying been enjoying my downtime, but at the same time been using this to I guess think of the future a little bit. What's next? What else can I do to improve where I am? What else can I do to be better? And it's been really nice, and I feel like I've come to this point in my life where I no longer stress myself out when I am unable to follow my routine like to the T. I think that like before, that used to really bother me, especially when I would go through changes. And what I really like about this phase in my life is like, for example, I've come to this phase wherein I've everything has settled. I feel more at ease. It's more quiet, more peaceful. I'm not as busy as I used to at the beginning of this year. And I think that before that would probably make me spiral. And, to be honest, there have been a couple of days, some days recently that I have spiraled and have cried and have felt depressed and all. But, you keep going. I mean, I am taking my meds, so I feel like it's working and probably blocking it from getting any worse. But I feel like I've been able to cope through that, going through that much better than I ever have. Because like I would find myself like always reminding myself to enjoy it. Like if this is the only time right now that I'm this relaxed, and that's okay. It's okay, and during those times, if I feel like I really need the rest and I'm enjoying myself, just my downtime, then I really like melt into that. But if there are days where I feel like if I stay in this horizontal position any longer, I know it's gonna make me spiral. That's the time when I try to get myself out of the house immediately and either like work outside or like even just like spend time at somewhere wherein I can just like be outside. I can spend some time alone. I can read. Like there have been times lately because I've also haven't had that many private sessions. So again, my schedule has definitely freed up. So that has allowed me to like spend time at like a coffee shop to just read and nothing else, like to not even worry about work. And it has felt really good, and there are days when I just want to stay in bed and I would just play on my phone because I love playing Harry Potter on my phone and I enjoy myself, and that's okay. And then there are days when I feel like, oh, I think I have some free time today and a free time again tomorrow. Maybe I can work out. Maybe I can practice yoga. And I find that I have become consistent in my practice in a way where I am not pressuring or stressing myself out to get to the mat every single time. Like it's a different kind of consistency, and it feels really good to be able to move your body every single day, or to move my body as regularly as I do. For me, when I started yoga, I had no physical activity. Like it has been years since I did anything. But I say that pretty loosely because I know like when I was in college, that's when I started to get really into fitness. And during like college, although I didn't like work out every day or anything like that, I remember there would be days where I would run, but I'm pretty sure the way I was running before was not the same as now, wherein I'm like guided by a coach and all. But yeah, I tried. I would like make use of the gym in where I was staying. I would run, I would swim, I would walk, I would do these things, but very much like just for fun, like for just to enjoy myself. Nothing like what I'm doing now. It was very different. But I didn't do that all the time. I didn't do it regularly. I would only do it probably when I felt like I really needed it. And it was different. It was different because I would just kind of look up online and just follow along. So it's different. It's different when you actually like attend a class and have either a coach or a teacher there like guiding you. And so when I found yoga, because I used to be a dancer, and I like danced since I was 2 years old, ballet. And I remember when I was growing up to when I was, I think 13 or 6 or 14 years old, I feel like, yeah, 14 or 15 years old, I danced and we would, do recitals, we would perform. My schedule used to be insane at that age. Like I used to do so much physically. So I had all of that, and then suddenly I didn't. And so I know that that's one of the reasons probably why I spiraled and had like depression and all. But when I found yoga, I realized how similar it was to ballet, to dance, but it felt like, I don't, there probably is like a better term to use, but to me, like the word that's coming up is like it felt like a more ethical version of ballet, because if you're a ballerina, how competitive it is. How it brings out the perfectionist in you 100%, right? So you get very fixated about certain things, like the smallest of things, right? Because that's what you're taught. So when I found yoga, I realized, oh, it's like ballet without all of that, without like the pressure. So I was really amazed. Like I was so amazed how that worked, And I was also so amazed how yoga helped me and could help like so many people, because it just like checked all the boxes of everything that I needed, whether it was like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, everything. Like yoga checked all of that for me. And it was just like, how is this not known by everyone? This is like magic. This isn't even real. But yeah, it's really amazing. And if you've ever attended a yoga class in your life, then you would know what I'm talking about. Like that feeling you get after a class, it's like just bliss. It's just pure joy, pure peace. It's amazing. I noticed that yoga helped with my flexibility, because anyone who just doesn't have much physical activity or doesn't like stretch every day, we will all get very tight in the body. Like it's just a normal thing. Flexibility isn't something that you just have forever and ever and ever. Even the most flexible person, if they stopped like stretching at all and moving their body at all, they will start to feel tense and tight in certain areas of the body. It's just how it is. So I realized that yoga just brought back that flexibility that I've lost for years. It became like my daily workout, because I never expected that yoga actually required so much strength and endurance. Like I did not know that stepping into my first class. And it's just like any other sport and exercise out there. Like for me now, I do CrossFit, and I see how like physical yoga can be, that to the point where I know that the people who do CrossFit at my box struggle with yoga. Like they think yoga is incredibly difficult. And that's coming from like these athletes who can do it all. So I get it. Yoga is definitely a sport as well. It feels like it. But the most important thing is that yoga has made such a huge impact on my mental health. Like nothing gives me the peace of mind and the clarity like a yoga practice does. Even when I teach a class, like when I just teach a class, I leave the class also feeling so happy, feeling so at peace. I didn't even practice, and that's already how I feel. Well, more when I do practice, and no secret there, I feel amazing afterwards. So this is why so many newbies get so hooked on yoga. Like me, after my first class, I was addicted. I came back the next day, and I just kept coming back every single day. Like there would be times when I would attend 4 classes in a day, because that's how good it made me feel. Like I just felt like all of my problems were washed away. I felt like nothing could hurt me, nothing could get to me at all, especially after all my classes. When I would go home, of course, home can be triggering at times. It can be stressful sometimes. And my life back then, when I first started doing yoga, I was still in the US, and I felt very lonely. So, going to a yoga class, being surrounded by other students made me feel like I was part of something, made me feel less alone, especially when your teacher sees you, not like literally sees you, but just sees your presence, sees you, your soul. It just felt so nice. And then I would come home and just feel so renewed, like as if I've fixed 10 years of pain in my life already. So, that seems exaggerated, but for real, I felt so good. It was just like, it just made me it just gave me hope every single day. And I felt proud that I was known like for my yoga practice because it just made me so much healthier, both physically and mentally. Let's take a quick break from this episode to talk about my juice brand, Daily Greens. If you're in Iloilo City and looking for healthy juice that doesn't have any added sugar, no preservatives, and is packed with a variety of vegetables and fruits, you should try Daily Greens. With 2 flavors, Greens Blend, a blend of 11 vegetables and fruits, and Carrots Blend, which is 50% carrots and a mix of other vegetables and fruits, this is unlike any other juice sold on the market. Most juices are packed with more fruits to help it taste better, but completely miss the point of being a nutritious and healthy drink. Remember, fruits are still filled with sugar and must be enjoyed in controlled portions. Daily Greens make sure that you get the most out of a bottle, packing it with more vegetables and fruits and making it fresh, not to mention affordable for everyone. You can enjoy a bottle or 2 every day, which is perfect if your goal is to maintain healthy yet easy habits in the long run. You can order from Healthy Kitchen and salads and wraps. This is your sign to start building healthier habits in the most convenient way with Daily Greens. So I've always believed that when you do one thing every day to quiet the mind, to ground you, one thing to get your body moving, and one thing to allow yourself to connect with a community or someone else, that is the secret to just feeling more balanced, feeling like you are giving back to yourself. That is self-love and self-care, like if it were an equation. And that's something that I've learned to practice through the years. For me, that has been the most effective tool that I have used. It has been, for me, tried and tested for the past, oh my gosh, more than a decade, and I've seen how that kind of practice, because of course it's not meds, it's not like instant relief, right? But it's like a practice that you instill within you, and it's like you engrave it in your mind and in your heart, so that especially in times when you are overwhelmed, when you are like at a very, very dark, low point in your life, because it's been imprinted within you, it just on its own, it just like automatically on autopilot comes out and just takes over, so it just becomes like this emergency toolkit that knows when it's supposed, like first aid right away whenever you need it, when you need it most, even when you're not thinking. And that's because I've created a habit of it. Like every single day, I always try to find, again, one thing that'll quiet my mind, one thing that'll get me moving, and one thing that allows me to connect with my surroundings, just to connect with people, to connect with others. And the thing is, yoga alone already checks all these boxes. It's no secret that the mindfulness practice, of course, when you sit down and start a yoga class, usually you meditate, you sit and you meditate, right? That alone already quiets and calms the mind. That practice, it's still a journey. Like everything that I've said here, it's still a journey. It takes time, it takes practice. And every single time I step on my yoga mat, it's really never the same. Sometimes, no matter, even though I'm a teacher, even though I've been teaching for a decade, it's still never the same. There are mornings when I would sit up and meditate, and my mind is just so noisy. So noisy, I can't even get it to like shut up. I can't get it to just be present. There are times when it's like that. And then there are other times when my mind just feels quiet, like it just listens, it just cooperates. There are times when I don't feel like meditating and I still try to meditate. And there are times when I am just craving for it. So it's very different. Every single day it's different. When it comes to yoga being a physical exercise, again, it's one thing that gets your body moving. And like I said, I never expected when I first walked into my first vinyasa yoga class that it would be like a sport. Like I was so shocked how much you move, how much you sweat, how weak I was when I came into my first vinyasa yoga class. Like I couldn't do a chaturanga. I couldn't stay in a downward facing dog. My arms were shaking, and so I never realized how physical it was. So, now even with years of practice, it still challenges me. It still challenges me. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I really loved about yoga, especially when I was starting out, was that it got me out of the house and it got me to connect with people. And that's the thing. Sometimes we don't realize why we like to isolate so often. We never realize that maybe it's because something's wrong emotionally, right? For me, in my experience, that was my depression. Whenever I want to isolate myself, then I know I'm depressed. I know that I'm burnt out. I know that I'm going through something that I maybe have not realized it yet, but it's there, it's happening. So I would just I would just prefer to isolate at home, sometimes not even leave my bed. There were days when I would not drink water, where I would really starve myself and not eat anything. But when I started practicing yoga, it gave me a reason to get up in the morning, like literally. I would schedule my days around the classes that I wanted to attend. And it was the only thing that would get me up early, get me out of the house, get me productive, to be productive for the rest of the day. And it just made me feel like I was part of a community, because even though I didn't know everyone, even if I didn't talk to anyone while I was in class, just the feeling of being with others, and then you're flowing together, you're doing something together, is already more than enough. And then to have a teacher guide you, even if that teacher doesn't adjust you or acknowledge you face to face, just the fact that they're there and it feels like they're talking to me, they're guiding me, they're coaching me, is already so much. I would always feel so supported, so like I belonged, to something, to some group, and it felt good. As I said, it felt it was like such a relief. I felt happy. And that's what I try to always say to my students, even in my community. When my students always ask me, especially those who've never done yoga before, I always tell them, if you've never tried to join a class, you have to try. It's very different. It's very different from being in a studio or being in a specific space that is meant for yoga, and then to be surrounded by others, and then to be guided by a teacher. It's just a different feeling. You can't even describe it, but you just feel again, so supported. You feel like you are part of something. And again, even if you don't interact with these people, because I know even for me, I was very hesitant to join a class when I don't know anyone, right? And I know many other students who feel that way. I think that's very, very common in our culture, to always want to be with someone and to not feel so alone, so left out, right? We're always kind of afraid of that and uncomfortable when that happens. But I always tell them that just trust me. I'll be there and I will guide you. I will support you as your teacher. I'll be there for you. But at the same time, you won't even have to worry because when you're in class, nobody is thinking about you. They're all worried and preoccupied about themselves, and they're thinking about what you're thinking too. That maybe what if people judge me and all these things, and because they're like overwhelmed by all these thoughts about what other people might think of them, most likely they have no more room to think about anyone else because they're so busy thinking about themselves, if that makes any sense. So I always try to explain that to new students and to my students now, that come to class because it's such a different experience. And it doesn't even have to be my class. I always say that it doesn't even have to be my class. As long as you're attending a class, a yoga class, any physical movement, actually, I'd be happy. That's more than enough for me, because again, the goal is to get you to move, because I know how it has changed my life, how it has impacted my mental health. So I know that it can help you too. I know that it can create positive change in your life too. One more thing, yoga complements so many other forms of activities. So now, if you're the type of person who already has like thousands of activities that you do, maybe you cross train, maybe you're a runner, a swimmer, whatever you are. What's nice about yoga is that it's a really good way to complement what you're already doing, especially if you're a runner, if you're into weightlifting, bodybuilding, jujitsu, whatever it is. Yoga is a great way to just help your body recover, to bring balance back into the body, and to just make you feel good, inside and out, 100%. It's a really good way to recover. I mean, I'm thankful that I have yoga because I always do it in between everything else, whether it's running or CrossFit. I make sure that yoga has to always be number one, like on top of all of that, because without it, I'd be very sore forever. And I probably wouldn't be able to go up and down stairs. I probably wouldn't be able to move or walk anymore. So definitely yoga is here to stay for me. And it also can apply to those on the opposite side of the spectrum, for those who have zero physical activity whatsoever. Especially for those who are either like seniors, elderly, maybe you've had an injury recently. Even when you're like pregnant, you can still do yoga. It's one of the most low impact forms of movement that is very accessible to everyone because it's very much scalable. Like you can adjust everything. Again, yoga, the main essence of yoga is really to sit in stillness and to be fully aware, to be mindful. So it's not necessarily moving in how many chaturangas can you do, if you can do a handstand and whatever, a headstand. That's not really the point of yoga, right? The point of yoga is to be able to be still, to be mindful of your breath, to be fully aware, right? So that's why that alone already shows that it can be accessible to everyone. Even if you were in a hospital bed, you can still do yoga there. You can still sit, meditate, breathe, and that is yoga. So it's for everyone. You can always adjust a yoga class to cater to your needs. For me personally, I teach pregnant women. Even if you've just given birth, you can still move safely. It's good for elderly. It's good for the kids. It's good for those with injuries. So it really is one of the only practices that benefit the body, the mind, and the spirit all in one. So again, yoga is just an all-in-one practice. It's one class alone can already leave you feeling so light. And so what more when it becomes a regular habit? It has to be part of your daily self-care routine. Some form of yoga can be a part of your daily self-care routine, whether it's just sitting and meditating, whether it's just breathing for today, If it's mindful walking or moving your body through a actual yoga practice, connecting with a community, being able to attend a class, and to do something for yourself, just at least for 1 hour out of 24 hours in a day, that's more than enough. So as much as possible, if you're able to do these kinds of practices that are either similar to yoga, or if you're actually able to attend a yoga class, it's best when it's part of your daily self-care routine. Practicing it daily, yes, it's very important. I always get questions on how often should I be practicing yoga. I mean, my answer is always the same. If you can practice it every day, that would be better. But if you can't, I would say as long as you can come to the mat, find your mat once a week, twice a week, thrice a week, that's more than enough, based on your routine and what you're doing, all your obligations. It's not very easy all the time, but it doesn't even have to be an hour-long practice. Like I said, it can just be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. That's more than enough, but always think about that. How can you spare, again, just 1 hour out of the 24 hours in a day to just give back to yourself? And hopefully in that 1 hour, again, you're checking all those boxes. You're quieting the mind, you're moving your body, and you're connecting with a community. You're getting some me time, and you also feel like you're part of something. Because again, when we're at home, we always feel like either we're responsible for everything, we hold space for everyone else. So it's very important that we become part of a space where we feel like we are being held as well. And lastly, before I go, I just want to, share that yoga is really a great way to start your fitness journey. It's a great way to manage the stress that you deal with every single day. We all go through that. I think stress is just a part of everyday life. It's just always going to be there. It just comes in different levels, right? Different waves. But it's going to be there. So we need something like yoga to help us manage all of that so that we can stay healthy, so that all these chronic illnesses can stay away from us. All those aches and pains that we feel, they can all stay away from us. And it's just a great way, to begin your fitness journey, to complement your already existing fitness journey, and to just feel good about yourself, which you definitely deserve to feel. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ilonggayogi podcast. If you'd like more similar content, you can learn more on my blog and socials, which will be linked in the show notes. Wishing you peace in the body, peace in the mind, and peace in your heart wherever you go. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.